Hello, Rebecca here, filming for Peartree Cutfiles. Today I am creating a layout using the Happy Days cut file from the March release, and I'm using Maggie Holmes Garden Party collection, which is so super gorgeous. I could not wait to use it. So I'm particularly focusing on this paper called Freshly Picked, which has a gorgeous floral on one side and a sort of polka dot design on the back. And I've cut my cut file twice, once in the floral side and once on the polka dot side. And from the floral side, I've just kept the insides of the word happy, just so that the rest of it is the polka dot design. And I've kept the rest of that paper and salvaged it. And I'm going to create an offset angled border on two of the corners, just to have a little bit more of that paper on there. I think it's such a gorgeous paper. So I'm distressing two sides of the textured cardstock, that is American Crafts Precision White cardstock, and I've just used a Dove Craft edge distresser there. So I've adhered that down, and I need to square the paper off before I can sew it, because otherwise it gets a bit confusing about what's straight. So I'll just use my paper trimmer just to trim off the two sides that need to be trimmed off there, so that the paper is square. I'll then run the paper through my sewing machine using some gold thread. That is from Core Bond, that gold thread. Just some messy stitching, nothing too neat. Just to create a little bit of a extra design feature on that border. And that's how that's looking. So I've purposely been quite messy there. You can see the stitching is quite wonky, which I have done on purpose. So now I'm going to just place my letters onto the page and work out where I want everything to go. I actually end up deciding that I do want two photos later on down the line, but that's a little bit later on in the video. So this is Shimmer's Spritz in Cotton Candy. I'm just using the packaging technique to give just a very, very slight light coloured mixed media background behind the word happy. I was sort of worried that the white on white would not show up particularly well. So I'm adding a couple of little splatters there with the spritz, and I also use some of the Nouveau Mica Mist in Pink Carnation on the background as well, which is very similar to the shimmers actually. Quite a similar finish with the sort of shimmery finish. Now that little piece of paper is just out of my scrap box, but it was a similar colour in blue to the blue that's in the Garden Party collection, and I just wanted to back the word days and just give it a little bit of a border. So I just take some time to stick that down and go around the edge with my scalpel, just to give it a very, very slight border. I'm sure that there's a way to do that by machine, but I have not figured it out on my scanner cut yet, so if anyone knows how to do that, please let me know. A technique that I use quite often is to go around the outside of my cut file with a grey fine liner pen. It almost looks like a shadow in person. It's not very obvious, but it does make things stand out a little bit more, makes them look a little bit more defined. So I go around the edge with that, and what I'm doing here is I felt like it wasn't that obvious that that was a polka dot paper. The polka dots are quite sparse, so I've just added in a couple more just to point out that it is a pattern paper and not some marks on a white paper. So I'm lining everything up. I actually think I put this cut file on the background wonky. I kind of eyeballed it, and when I went back later with my T-square, it was not quite straight. I think it was that offset border that sort of knocks it out a little bit, but it's all good. It all ends up looking pretty, so it's fine. So there I am going to be putting some foam on the back of the words, of the letters from happy, and sticking them in place. So there's a little bit of foam there, and that gives that a little bit of dimension. The rest of the cut file is just stuck down onto the background paper, flat onto the page. Another apology for my lighting. My lighting in my craft room is a bit of a nightmare. This was all filmed over the same day, and probably like 10 different seasons on the same day. It's sunny, it's rainy, it's cloudy, it's beaming sun. I just could not get the lighting right. and my blinds still let loads of light in even when they're completely closed. So apologies for the lighting. But I have worked out that I am happy with where my cut file is, and I do want 2 photos. So I'm going to start getting everything stuck down, work out where I want my journaling to go, and start embellishing my page. So I'm going to cut out a couple of these cut aparts, use a tag and that little bunny, black and white little square. I distress the edges of those before I stick them behind my photo. And I'm going through the ephemera packs and working out which pieces I want to add. This collection is so pretty. I just love it. I've had my eye on it for ages, and then when it came into the Lottie Loves Paper shop, I pounced on it. I'm not ashamed to say that I pounced. So I'm just going through. I absolutely love the florals, but I was a bit loath to use just all the florals straight away the first time I've used the collection. So I've used a couple of the floral pieces. I liked that vellum flower down on the bottom there. I felt like it was carrying the floral pattern up onto the white paper. So I thought that was really pretty. So I'm going through and sticking everything down now. And that is a piece of the Sticks to foam, which I'm a big fan of that. It's such a good product. And it comes in a sort of a thicker size and a thinner size. So that's just the thinner piece going on the back of that larger photo. That is a photo from Mother's Day, and I must have a strange filter on there because my son's top is the same yellow as is used in the collection, the yellow of that flower and that paper, so it's quite a muted colour in the photo, so it must have been the filter I was using on the photograph. So I have spent a lot of time embellishing this page, a lot of which has been cropped out, but you'll see most of what gets stuck down on there. I wanted to add some of the gold ephemera in around the page because I'd used that gold thread on the border. I wanted to pick up the colour of gold on the rest of the page. So I try to make sure that each little cluster has some of the gold colouring. And I do add a couple of little gold thread bundles in. That is the same gold metallic thread from Core Bond. Those little puffy stickers are tiny, but they're just so pretty. I love the little hearts. So I'm tucking that other vellum flower in that little nook there. It was just crying out for something to go there. And so going through, embellishing. At this point I was starting to feel like the very top of the page was looking a bit bare as well, so I do go through and add something to that very top of the page. So tucking things in, trying things out, working out where I like everything. I've added my journaling in a gold pen. That is just a gold gel pen. There we go. So I'm adding in a little bit of interest just along that top edge. So it's looking too bare up there. So I've brought some of that darker green colour up onto that top edge. Just using one of these little stickers that's in the pack. In retrospect, I wish I had sewn through that with some gold thread as well, but I didn't think of that at the time. So I'm using just that little offcut that I'd salvaged from that little circular frame ephemera piece, and tucking that in there, and then I'm going to add some of the rest of the colours up at that top edge as well, some pink and some yellow. So cute. We're getting close to being finished. Off camera, when I've finished embellishing, I add some sequins from Little Things by Lucy's Cards in the shade Tiara. And they are so pretty. They've got these minute little, tiny little stars in there that are just so gorgeous. I've tried to take a close-up of that just to show you what they look like. And I've stuck those sequins, just scattered them across the page and set them down with some glossy accents. Off camera, I also ruffle up that paper edge. You'll be able to see it in the final photos. Just the white cardstock paper edge, I just ruffle that up as well. So I also add some of the Jen Hadfield Gold spray, but I just take the lid off and give it a sort of sprinkle rather than spritz it on, just to add some more of that gold. And that's the finished page. I think it's such a pretty collection. I just love it. Loving all those little gold touches. There's quite a lot of that foiled gold in that collection. I love those really rich coloured florals. There's those little stars, aren't they lovely? And so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.